Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. That was a creepy smile. Hi everybody, thanks so much for coming by. This is going to be one of my kind of tea time with Jen videos. I haven't done one of these in a while. I think my last Q&A was kind of one. I don't know, it's been forever. But I got this idea after a live chat that I had, it was reading sprints that I had last week with my friend Jessin from Smart Women Read Romance, Jessin Reads Romance is her YouTube channel. Smart Women Read Romance is the podcast she does with Juliet Cross. I'll link that live up here if you want. Again, it is reading sprints, so you have to kind of go through it to the parts where we talk, or you could read along with us, use it for your own reading sprints. I've done that before. But anyway, the point being, and as you can tell the title of this video, a question came up from a viewer about what we think the next trends in romance will be. And I'm not one of the people who's great at predicting that stuff. I'm not. There are some people who just know, people who have their pulse on the industry. I'm more one of the people that I just like to read what the industry gives to me instead of guessing, and I either like it or I don't. I don't know, that's me. I'm a reactionary type person. But that led to the discussion of what are the current trends? And of course that's going to be subjective. But I think, those of us who do read a lot of the current ones coming out, we know what we're seeing a lot of. And of course there are reasons for trends. The trends show up because authors see what their colleagues are doing well, and they know what's at the top of the Amazon charts. And if they're an indie author who, having their book be on those charts at all is gold, that's money in their pocket to be there. Some of them, they change what they're writing to fit into those trends so that it can fit there, so that it can get recommended when people read what's at the top, right? Anyway, that's how marketing works, right? That's how it goes. But I thought it would be fun if I posed that question to you guys to ask what you think is on trend, whether good or bad, because we are going to talk about both, what we are happy that it is happening and the things that we're not. And then, we're just going to, and then I also ask what people would like to see more of. So I have my own list that has 8 things on it that are things both that what I think are trends, and then, I'll tell you if I like it or not. And then, I have a couple that are what I want more of. But how I'm planning to do this is that I had put this as a question on my community page. So I have my Chromebook right here, and I'm gonna kind of just do a reaction and then chat about what you guys said. So I'll keep this anonymous, but it is still up in my community page, so you can still join in this conversation if you want to. But I got about, I got about 25 responses to this. So I'm just going to go through and react to them, and we'll see if we see some patterns or what we have. And then if one of your guys's matches with mine, of course I'm going to say that. And then at the end, if there are any that you guys didn't say yet that I saw, we'll mention those. And anything I want more of. So I don't know how long this will be. I don't know how long this will take. We'll see how much ranting and raving I end up wanting to do. But we're just gonna go with it. And as always, these are just my opinions, and some of your opinions too, right? And if you don't agree with them, that's totally fine. I would love for there to be a discussion in these comments. Tell me the ones you agree with. If you are noticing some of those same things, or maybe you're not because you don't read in the subgenres that we're talking about, right? And definitely by the end of this, leave me what you would like to see more of. Because maybe that's something that I can give you recommendations for, or someone else in the comments can as well. So let us go. So I am just going to go through these. So of course we had a few people say this, but the very first comment said, I am so over too much spice. I miss the small moments and the actual romance. Just call it erotica at this point. I obviously agree about this. There was a previous video I did about this. Jessin also made a video about this. So I think it's something that people are becoming aware of for sure. And I definitely agree that this is a trend. I mean, I've talked about it as well. And more so as I've pointed out, like when the spice doesn't fit. Because I do think there are still some heavily sexy books that have many sex scenes that aren't erotica. Like I think that exists. But the ones where the spice doesn't fit, when there is like a dark romance sex scene in a contemporary book, right? That's more what I've said. Or when the spice isn't earned is what I have been calling that for me personally, because I do like my books to have multiple scenes in them. I like some of the naughty stuff, obviously. I have taboo reckless. I have really spicy reckless. I like that. But the thing is, it used to be that I knew which books to go to feed that need, you know? Like, if I wanted the kinky stuff, I knew where to find it. I would get it. But to read some of that stuff just like in a small town romance where everything seems sweet and then they get in the bedroom and it's just like everybody's got to be spanked, their pussy has to be slapped, they have to have their hair pulled. I just don't think that would happen every time. And, you know, I've given multiple examples of that. This isn't the type of video I'm going to do with it. But I'm not going to beat this home because I've talked about it a lot and I've shared the books I think are doing this. But I want to put out the hope that, like, we do have to keep saying that and keep putting it in our reviews and say something about it. Because, like, TikTok and people like sharing lots of the spicy stuff, that's what's pushing that higher. So if we want there to be a change, like we have to put it in the reviews, because there are authors, if not themselves reading it, they have assistants reading it. And so if you can say that, like, I know there are authors who do check the reviews to see what people are unhappy with because they've told me they do, or they have their assistant reading them to give them feedback in a more gentler way. So if there's a book that you think was otherwise really good, but the sex didn't fit or the steam didn't fit, put it in the review. You know, put it in the review. Some authors will never read their reviews because it's too harmful for them, and I totally get it. But if it's something for you where you're like, I thought the writing was good, I thought this was good, but this, you know, I think that can be constructive and helpful. And who knows, hopefully we'll start to see the trend of that as well, right? Anyway, see, I'm already talking too much about what I've already talked about, but that's my advice of like how we can change trends. And stuff moves slowly because the books that are being right now are because of the trends right now. So we may still see this in books for months to come until that starts to change and until the authors get that feedback and can then implement it. We are going to keep seeing that. So anyway, moving on. This one says, romance books are getting longer and longer. Anything over 400 pages seems excessive. Fantasy romances I don't mind because you need the world building. I completely agree with this one. I also have that on my list of trends. You know, I think I've shared why that's happening. And a lot of it has to do with the Kindle Unlimited changes. 100%. There are some authors who've always written longer books, though. I will put that out there. I think it just like stands out more now because you're getting these small town romances that the ebooks say they're 400 plus pages. Also know that some of that is formatting. Like authors have gotten, you know, I don't want to call them sneaky with it because I understand that Amazon fucks these authors over on their stuff, okay? Their payment per page, because that's how you get paid on KU, has been drastically cut, specifically because they are assholes and also because there was a boycott people tried to do. Thank you, TikTok. I mean, I guess it was almost a year ago now, and the authors felt that back in, I think it was April, was the next quarter that things were slashed, which caused a lot of authors to have to leave KU, which, I mean, hurts their business as well, but because not as many people are willing to risk it, but it's just, but anyway, so books getting longer in ebook, you know, specifically I can think of some that the ebook says they're 510 pages, but you might notice you still read it really quickly. And then if you buy a physical copy, it'll say it's like 410 pages because it is formatted differently for each one. And so in the ebook, they can format it so it's more pages, which means more payment per page, but it doesn't cost you anymore because it's KU. And then when you get a physical copy of it, it's a more reasonable size, right? I've noticed that with one that I just noticed that with was Caught Up by Liz Tom Ford. I read the ebook first and it said it was over 500 pages or almost 500 pages, like 498. And my physical copy was like 402 or something like that. Anyway, books being that long, I think is a direct result in authors' income being cut. And so, yeah, I think it does lead to some stories feeling longer because they're not meant to stretch that long. But an author, you know, what are they going to do? So they sneak it in there. So yeah, I wish Amazon wouldn't do that because, you know, books still make so much of their money. It's ridiculous. So anyway, definitely notice that trend as well, though, that they're getting longer. All right. Someone says there are lots of fake dating, being annoyed that it's called fake dating. But loving all the small town romance. I do have small town romance on mine as well. I think that comes from like the top authors on KU lately. You know, if you look at the top Amazon authors, you know, it's been like Catherine Cowles, Elsie Silver, A.L. Jackson, Laura Poplove, like all those, they're all small town romance authors. And, you know, if people want to get on that list now, they're writing that as well. And then within those, I've always shared, like when you have a small town series, what are the tropes that always show up? You got brother's best friend, you got a fake dating, you got a single parent, maybe 2 or 3 of those. And, you know, you have, those are the tropes that then show up in a small town because there's only so many that you could do. So yeah, maybe they're cowboys, maybe they're not. Maybe you're moving home from the big city to the country, like those are what's going to show up. And I do like small town as well, so I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying that one's a trend that I'm like benign on. Like I like small town romance. Also someone mentioned there are so many why choose romances. Yes, that is a trend for sure. Some of these are things people are saying that they're just things that annoy them. And I really was looking more for trends. So some of them we're going to skip over because they're just like pet peeves that annoy you, which is totally true, but they're not like trends. So Bex mentioned, I will call her out, she has her channel, hi Bex, said, I'd like to see older characters finding love for the first time. So this is a trend she would like to see. HEAs without babies, I've seen people mention that before, and where the female is the alien or the monster. I like that. She's been loving that mental health has been represented better lately. And I agree. I think a lot more novels have that more defined in them, which is always good. And she said, I kind of feel like the cartoon covers are becoming less and less. I don't know if I agree with that one. I know that was a trend before. I think they're still always showing up. They may now are still offering both versions, but also some authors aren't, and they're all just object or title-centric covers is what we can call that. Someone said stalker romance is a trend. Yep. There's some of those. So someone else mentioned not a trope trend, which they don't all have to be tropes. So it's totally fine to just mention other things about books. And this person mentioned, I cannot handle all the special editions happening for books. And then certain books only having covers for a few months and then a new cover comes out. It gives me major FOMO and it seems wasteful to me. Yeah, that's a tough one because the reasons for it happening are a lot of the times authors getting bought by the indie publishers or selling their books to indie publishers. And it's a good thing for authors. And then they usually provide a new cover, which again can be irritating, especially like when it's a series that's already started with one cover. So then they're going to change. Like, I know what she means by that. And then it's like, you have 3 months to get this cover and then it's going to move on. But yeah, that is annoying in some ways, but I mean, I'm glad we're seeing so many authors get bought, and hopefully with those authors now belonging to, or not belonging, but like writing for those publishers, they can start with just one cover. And I think we'll start to see that as we go, because there are authors, well, let's be honest, there are some authors who their covers are kind of already approved then. So they might still launch it as indie, but when it's going to get bought by the publisher, they don't have to change the cover. Like an example of this is Minx by Sophie Lark was launched indie, but I've already seen that it's been the publisher's getting that one as well, and the cover doesn't have to change because they picked a cover that would be able to be on both. I still want those publishers to put people on covers, and I'm going to die on that hill. I am not as in love with covers like Minx and Grimstone as I ever will be with covers that have the people on them. I just won't. I own them because I love the author, and I don't mind like these recovers, but I just don't, and I never ever will. And if there's one trend that could just fucking die already, it would be that. Okay? I'm just telling you. There's my feelings on that. Someone said, I feel like there's too many snarky heroines in so many indie contemporaries. Sometimes it's fun, but it's starting to become overkill. She did say sexy cartoon covers are slowly coming in, which is ironic considering illustrated cover trends started to keep romance covers from being romantic. I mean, yeah. You can't misrepresent your books, you know? Like, it needs to feel romantic. Okay, someone shared a lot of why choose lately. Yeah, that definitely is. I wrote that one down too. Does every paranormal book have to be a why choose? Like, why can't we just have one? Why does there need to be why choose all the time? Someone also said, I wrote this one too. I continue to see a lot of hockey romance, and don't get me wrong, I love hockey, but at the same time, pick another sport. So true. I sneak peek ahead at what I think there will be more of, because I have one of these. I have a big feeling that we are about to see a wave of football romance, and I bet you know why, right? I think a lot of people are going to want to cash in on the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce craze, and I think we will see a change from hockey to football. That is my guess. That is my guess, is that we're going to see football stuff come in. Hockey definitely got its day, you know, through TikTok, through the drama there. There's lots of hockey going on, and I feel like it's going to come around, and next we'll have football next. That's my prediction for the sport trends. Maybe they'll do why choose football romances. We'll see. Someone said there is an uptick in second chance romances. Is there? That I haven't seen a lot of those. I've only seen a couple of those ones lately. That's just me. I feel like second chance is the same as like small town and age gap. Like, you're always going to see those ones come around. But I'm glad you've been finding those. That one isn't a deterrent one. It just says there's those. Someone else on here said they love all of the age gap, would like those to keep being out. Yep, age gap, also a staple. That is one of my faves. Very happy to have those. The fantasy and paranormal trend right now of just vibes. Like, there's nothing about the world, magic or lore. Just a billionaire CEO is a vampire, or coffee shop owner is a witch. Like a contemporary novel, except someone summoned a demon. Huh. Okay. This is an interesting one. I don't know about that. I feel like there's still lots of paranormal that have paranormal going on. I think there are a lot of why-2s. I do agree that the term just vibes is definitely around. Like, this one is dark because of vibes. I actually am kicking around doing a deep dive of like dark romance. Because there are some that I think get labeled as dark romance for content wise, and then some that are labeled there because of like the atmosphere is. My one example I think of this is like the Salacious Players Club gets put in a lot of like dark romance categories. What's actually dark about that? There's a couple taboo elements in it, but besides the fact that it's a BDSM focused, they're not really dark. You know, when you put Praise beside like Deliver by Pam Godwin or Untouchable by Sam Mariano, they're completely different worlds, but somehow they both kind of end up in dark romance, which I think is interesting. Okay, someone said hockey romance. Yep. And also fake dating has been way overplayed. Yep. And again, I think this comes to the fact that like there's so many small town contemporary romances that are up right now. And when there's a small town series, let's say you're doing all the brothers or you're doing all the sisters, you're always going to have a single parent, a secret dating or whatever, or a marriage of convenience, or like a one-night stand equaling a baby. Like, those are really the only road, like, for real. Think of some small-town romances that don't have those tropes in it, you know? They're going to be there. A divorced mom or divorced dad or a widower, like, those are always going to be there. So I think that's too why, like, fake dating feels so overdone, is think of all of those series and then point to one that, like, doesn't have fake dating in it. They like all do, you know, because there's only so many to go through. That is why they're tropes, right? But again, we're talking about the trends, and I agree there is a lot of fake dating, but I think it's because small town romance is so big. That's my hypothesis on it, you know, for me anyway. Okay. I feel like I'm seeing more why choose. Yep. I'm also interested in hearing other readers discuss the pointless, overdone, over-the-top spice. Yeah. Yeah, definitely agree with that for sure. Someone said there's too much Regency romance. Why not try a different period in history? That is interesting because one of my things I want to talk about when I get to my part is historical romance. But yes, Regency is a very short amount of time, by the way, if you don't know. I have made a breakdown of historical romance before. That video is very, very old though, so I'm not going to take it. But the Regency romance only took place during the time that there was the Prince Regent was taking over for the king, and so it was for a very like small amount of time, and there are so many historicals that take place during that time. But I actually have seen a lot more in the like later 1800s, more in the Victorian era lately, but I think it doesn't matter. I would like more quiet moments, less 10-page long sex scenes. Completely agree. Okay, and then the last one mentioned was another one. I think small town romance is having a moment right now for sure. Okay, so that's going through all of your guys' comments. So yeah, small town, why choose, fake dating, too much spice. I think we see what the current trends are. Nobody really did like where they see it will go, and that's fine because again, I'm not good at guessing where we're going next either. I have no idea like which of these things that are overdone will be the thing that gets pulled back and which thing will just keep going. But I'll go over what some of my trends are because you guys have done most of them. Like I had small town romance on mine. I had hockey romance. I had longer books, and I had why choose. Why is every paranormal why choose? I wrote that down. And not even, like there's a lot of contemporary ones too. I also had every hero needing to say good girl in the bedroom, which I know kind of goes along with there being too much spice, but like I like a good girl as well. But why is that the only endearment that we say anymore? Like why? Why is it always just good girl? Is there nothing else we can be called besides good girl? I don't know. I'm getting tired of it. A good trend I've noticed is I feel like audiobooks have been much more of a priority. I feel like more often now we're seeing day and date releases with the audiobook and the Kindle and paperback, and I love seeing that. That is difficult for indie authors to write far enough ahead to be able to do that, but the authors who have, I'm so appreciative of it because it does make it, you know, not only is it more accessible for a lot of people, but I don't know, it gives me a chance to switch up how I'm reading a book because so often the only option is my Kindle, right? I also had put, I think there is a lot of single parents happening. And then one that, like I said, I wanted to talk on is I think there have been so many less historicals that I've been hearing about. I know that a lot of the publishing companies who've done historicals have pulled way back on their budget for that and how many they're taking on. And so it's really been left to me. Like, I've been trying to read more and more indie historical authors. Like, I know I have a whole backlog of historical romances I want to get to, but something I want to be good about in 2024, and I feel like I've done an okay job in 2023 of trying more new historical romance authors, but I want to do that because if publishing houses are going to cut back on their historicals, I mean, we do have an endless supply of indie historical romance authors, but think about how many indie historical romance authors have been pulled up to publishers versus like contemporary or fantasy. Like, it is like a minuscule number, you know? And I just think there's still something so wonderful about historicals, and they can be just as spicy, but they can also be very sweet, you know, for getting bored with certain spice. Like, I think there are some wonderful historicals. So a trend that I'm very sad to see is how many less historicals there have been. But on the other hand, I've been trying to find more, you know, like Erin Langston, someone I found, and I made a list of these. And Stevie Sparks is a new one on the scene. And yeah, there are a lot of indie published historical romance authors that I want to see get more popular and I want to see people talking about. I feel like in the romance book community too, a lot of us like kind of started with historicals. Like during the pandemic, there was so many historical book clubs. Like even me, I used to have a historical book club with my bestie, and we had to give it up because we just weren't able to do the live shows anymore for that. But you know, so many of these book clubs started because of historicals, and there's still some going. I'm absolutely not saying there's not. There, Rachel and Lisa have one. There's still the historical Hellions going, and there's like Ravished by Romance. They don't always do historical. They do some other ones too. But there are still some. But I feel like there was a lot more, and I feel like more consistently historicals were in people's TBRs and their wrap-ups, and I feel like they're not as much. They used to be a much bigger part of my own wrap-ups too. And I feel like the first half of the year I didn't do well. I'm trying to do better, and I have read a lot of new historicals. In fact, I don't know when that video will be up, but I'm filming a video after this that's going to be the last 10 historicals that I read, because I know people love my historical videos. They do, but they tend to be a video that doesn't do well right away because people aren't looking for those. They tend to be one that people come back to later. And when you're a creator like me, who like, I do need my videos to do a certain level to get the income that I need every month, it's tough to get to make videos that I just want to make. I have to think about what people will want to see. But historicals are something I want to see. So I'm going to make that video, and I hope that lots of people watch that and will maybe give these a try, you know? So anyway, I also want to see more diversity in covers. Every kind of diversity. I do mean the regular kind of diversity of having different colors and different, you know, people with disabilities on covers and things like that. I want to see that, but I also want to see different kinds of covers again. I want to see more of Wander's work and Michelle Lancaster, and I mean Hang Lee makes beautiful covers as well. I don't want to lose all of those to animated covers. Even the ones that are like cartoon ones that still are representative, I'm just really sick of it, and I want it to change. I hope that it will. You know, I really love what Megan Quinn did for her special editions. I have never read a Megan Quinn, and I'm planning to buy a couple of her special editions because they are like modeled after Joanna Lindsay's. So she did this for her 10-year publishing anniversary, and I adore them. They are beautiful, and I want to buy at least one as a gift for myself. They're pretty expensive because they're hardcover like that, but that's something I want more of. So yeah, this was a fun discussion. I hope it was for you. You know, again, it's not like I really have an answer for this. I wish I could clap my hands and make it the way I want, but the things that I want to change aren't what everyone else does too. I mean, we agree on a lot, but then again, like, you watch my channel, you know, the people commenting watch my channel, they tend to like a lot of the same things as me. That's why they stick around, right? So I know that I'm in my own echo chamber too when I'm saying the things I don't like and the things I want. Doesn't mean the greater book buyers as a whole want the same thing, right? That's the reason so many of these trends are happening, is because those people do like that. But as I said, we can put in reviews what we're hoping to see, and some authors will see that. Again, it has to be in a review where you don't just slam it, because an author doesn't deserve to be yelled at. We can still vent our spleen in our reviews if we want, because that's their choice if they choose to read it. But I just think of like when I do ARC reviews, which is advanced reader copies, I note those things in there. I was like, I'm liking this, but I'm seeing the author give in to this. Because of all the reviews that get read, I mean, ARC reviews are going to be the most likely to be read because they're usually from people who like the author. They're going to be kinder in the review than anywhere else. So those are the reviews that are most likely to get read. So that's what I suggest if you're someone who reads those. If you don't read ARCs, but you still read other books, I mean, leaving a review is always helpful for an author anyway. So if there are things where you're like, I really like this, but I would love to see this, put it in your review. Just do a couple lines, right? That is something that, it's not a guarantee fix. I'm not saying that. But it is a way to use your voice. You know, if you don't have a channel like me or an Instagram, or you don't think anyone sees it, like I go through Goodreads reviews all the time of people I've never met, of people who probably don't have a channel, who are nothing. And I look at what they think of things. And there are now some people that I follow them on Goodreads just for their reviews, because they make me think about things differently. So anyway, that was weird, but that's just some advice from me, what I think you can do to make a change with that, which isn't, you know, again, it's not a guarantee, but it is doing something, right? So yeah. So thank you so much for watching this video. Of course, please share your opinions down below of things that you think are a trend, what you would like to see, anything I talked about. Feel free to have that dialogue, but make sure you're subscribed to this channel. If you haven't already, just click that like button before you head out, and I'll see you next time. Bye.